When you imagine the technologies that will shape humanity's future, what comes to mind? Towering machines, artificial intelligence, rockets reaching for distant worlds. We picture the future as big, gleaming, and built by human hands. But the most powerful tools we may ever wield could be the exact opposite: invisible, ancient, and alive. The organisms that built this planet billions of years ago may also be the ones that carry us forward, solving problems so large they seem impossible. The future of humanity, it turns out, may rest in the hands of creatures too small to see. Take a moment to think about the great challenges ahead of us: pollution, disease, hunger, a changing climate, the dream of reaching other worlds. They feel overwhelming, the kind of problems that demand enormous solutions. But what if the answers are not enormous at all? What if they're microscopic? Tell me in the comments which of humanity's problems you'd most want these tiny organisms to solve. I read every single one. And if discovering how the unseen world might shape what comes next is what you're here for, subscribe and hit that like button so more people can glimpse this future with us. Let's start with one of our most stubborn modern problems: waste. We have buried the planet in plastic, a material that can take centuries to break down. But in recent years, scientists have made a remarkable discovery: microbes that have begun to evolve the ability to eat plastic. Bacteria found near recycling plants and the enzymes they produce can break certain plastics down into their basic building blocks. Researchers are now racing to harness and improve these abilities, dreaming of a future where our waste is consumed and recycled by living organisms. And this isn't entirely new. For decades, we've used microbes to clean up oil spills, letting nature's smallest cleanup crews digest the pollution we couldn't. The custodians of our future may be invisible, and they may already be at work. But microbes are not only cleaners, they are factories, perhaps the most sophisticated factories ever to exist. Consider this: much of the insulin that keeps millions of people with diabetes alive is no longer extracted from animals. It is brewed by bacteria, genetically programmed to produce a human protein. We have learned to turn microbes into living manufacturing plants, instructing them to make medicines, enzymes, fuels, and materials we could never easily produce ourselves. They work tirelessly, they reproduce their own workforce, and they run on simple food. In a very real sense, we have begun to employ the smallest life on Earth as the most efficient laborers humanity has ever known. And then there is medicine itself, where our debt to microbes is older and deeper than most people realize. The antibiotics that transformed human survival, that turned once deadly infections into minor inconveniences, did not come from human invention. Most of them came from microbes, especially humble soil-dwelling organisms locked in their own ancient chemical wars. They evolved these weapons over millions of years, and we simply learned to borrow them. Now, as some bacteria grow resistant to our existing drugs, scientists are returning to the microbial world, searching unexplored soils, deep oceans, and remote environments, hunting for the next generation of life-saving compounds among organisms we've never even named. The cure for tomorrow's diseases may already exist, waiting in a spoonful of dirt. Now lift your gaze to the largest challenge of all: the climate of the entire planet. Here too, microbes sit at the very center of the story. They are the master regulators of Earth's great cycles, constantly moving carbon and other elements through the air, oceans, and soil. Some microbes consume methane, one of the most potent greenhouse gases. Others lock carbon away in the ground. Scientists are now studying how we might work alongside these organisms, encouraging soils that store more carbon, exploring microbes that could reduce the emissions from agriculture, even investigating the microbes in the guts of cattle that produce so much of the world's methane. The balance of our atmosphere has always been written by microbes. The question now is whether we can learn to write it with them. Feeding a growing world is another problem where the smallest life may rewrite the rules. Today, much of our food depends on enormous quantities of fertilizer, which is costly and environmentally damaging to produce. But remember those microbes that pull nitrogen straight from the air to nourish plants. Scientists are working to expand this natural gift, engineering crops and microbial partners that could fertilize themselves, slashing our dependence on artificial chemicals. At the same time, fermentation, one of humanity's oldest microbial technologies, is being reinvented to brew proteins and foods in vats, potentially feeding billions while using a fraction of the land. The farms of the future may be powered, quite literally, by life too small to see. Perhaps the most astonishing frontier is inside our own bodies. We've explored throughout this series how the microbiome shapes our digestion, immunity, and even our mood. Now, scientists are learning to treat it as medicine. Transplanting healthy microbial communities can cure certain stubborn infections that defeat conventional drugs. Researchers are designing engineered bacteria that could live inside us as tiny sentinels, detecting disease, releasing medicine exactly where it's needed, and reporting back on our health from the inside. Imagine a future where a swallowed colony of programmed microbes patrols your gut, catching illness before you ever feel a symptom. The doctor of tomorrow may be a population of living cells working within you. This points to the deepest shift of all. We are no longer just using microbes. We are beginning to program them. In the emerging field of synthetic biology, scientists treat living cells almost like tiny computers, writing new instructions into their DNA to make them perform tasks they never evolved to do. We can engineer microbes to glow when they detect a toxin, to build materials, to produce specific chemicals on command. Some researchers are even growing living materials, substances that can grow, heal themselves, and respond to their environment, blurring the line between the manufactured and the alive. We are learning to speak the language of life itself, and to ask the smallest organisms to help us build things we've never imagined. And the ambition reaches all the way to the stars. As humanity dreams of living beyond Earth, microbes come with us, not as stowaways, but as essential partners. On long journeys and distant outposts, engineered microbes could recycle waste, purify air and water, produce food, and even manufacture materials and medicines far from home, where resupply is impossible. Some scientists imagine microbes one day helping to transform hostile worlds, beginning the slow work of making other planets more hospitable, exactly as their ancestors once transformed the lifeless early Earth. If humanity ever truly becomes a spacefaring species, it may be the smallest life that makes the journey survivable. Of course, this power demands deep humility and care. To engineer life is an enormous responsibility, and the same tools that could heal and feed and clean could be misused or could carry unintended consequences. The history of this series has a clear lesson. When we treat the microbial world carelessly, wiping it out, throwing it off balance, assuming we know better, it tends to backfire. The future these organisms offer will only be bright if we approach them as partners to understand, not merely resources to exploit. The promise is staggering. So is the obligation to get it right. But step back and consider the beautiful symmetry of it all. Billions of years ago, microbes built the air we breathe, the soil we grow our food in, the very conditions that made our existence possible. They were the architects of our past. And now, as we face the great tests of our future, we are turning back to that same ancient, invisible world for the tools to carry us forward, to clean what we've fouled, to cure what ails us, to feed our billions, and perhaps to carry life itself beyond the planet that microbes first made habitable. The story comes full circle. The builders of our beginning may also be the builders of what comes next. So the next time you imagine the future, the breakthroughs, the cures, the worlds we might one day reach, don't picture only the towering machines and the gleaming technology. Picture the soil, the sea, the trillions of tiny lives quietly working all around you and within you. The answers to humanity's greatest questions may not lie out there in the vast and the distant. They may lie in the small, the unseen, the overlooked, the same place they have always been. The future of humanity may indeed depend on microbes. The only question left is whether we're wise enough to listen to what they can teach us.